Well, hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking on this video, and it's the first one in quite a while now. I'm just ad-libbing it, holding the mic, and I'm just out for a local walk. I've had 2 lovely weeks off with my children over in Anglesey. We had a great time, and yeah, now back at work. They've got some time off with the mum, and yeah, that's afforded me a bit of time to myself. So yes, I'm back out. First bit of local hiking in a long time, and I've got a wild camp plan for this weekend, and I'll be bringing the camera. So I wanted to make this short video just because of the cost of living at the moment, and I think it's quite pertinent to people starting out in wild camping, those of us who are already involved and have been doing it for a long time. Now, a lot of people are struggling financially. Now, this isn't a negative video. I don't want it to be negative at all. I want to focus on how we can get around it, and how we can alleviate some of the pressures, some of the financial pressures, and make things a little bit easier. So with that in mind, I thought I'd share with you some tips which I believe can help you out in terms of cost saving while still allowing you to enjoy wild camping. Like everything else, it's subjective, it's just my opinion, but if one of the things I'm going to talk about on this walk help you out, well then all the better for it. So stay till the end, listen to all the tips, and see if they help you out. I'll speak to you in a bit. So the first tip that I'm going to share with you is not to overlook those areas on your doorstep. Now, even if you live in the middle of a city centre, there's still green places that you can find. There's still walks and loops you can put together. Get yourself an OS map, look online. There's lots of maps out there, loads of routes out there, and don't overlook what's on your doorstep. This is on my doorstep, really lucky in that regard. But if you're a little bit creative, you don't have to go and put 30, 40 quid in the tank and go to these places, far afield. Just enjoy what's on your doorstep, leave the car on the drive, and you're still out in nature, fresh air. You might not be in the mountains, but it's still enjoyable all the same. Tip number 2, if you are heading off somewhere further afield, you've got to use a vehicle to get there. Why don't you car share with your mates if there's a few of you? Sounds like a really simple idea, but it's often overlooked. Me and my mates sometimes do that. You kind of split in the fuel costs, and yeah, it just makes things that little bit easier as well. So think about car sharing. If you're in the MCM Outdoors Facebook group, I'm quite happy if you put posts on there. If you're planning a trip, if anyone lives nearby, you'll want to jump in, it's absolutely great, and save yourself a few quid while you're doing it. Tip number 3 concerns your meals and your food when you're actually out wild camping. Now, lots of people just assume that you've got to have hot meals. However, you can if you want, and if you want to save a few pounds, just make some sandwiches, take something cold, take some fruit, just take some dry snacks, something that doesn't require gas or anything to heat or boil up. So take yourself a bit of food that doesn't require gas to heat up, sandwiches, fruit, little snacks like that. If you are going to take gas, I find in places like Home Bargains, B&M, there's lots of dry pasta sachets. Some of them are quite tasty, really cheap, and they're often 3 for 2, and they're really good value for money, really simple to cook up, to heat up in the one mug or pot, and they'll get you through a night's wild camping for a very little money and very little outlay. So something else to bear in mind is the cost of your camping equipment. Now, there's lots of debate to be had about where the budget gear is good. Is it a waste of money? The old adage, if you buy cheap, you buy twice. Then of course at the other end of the spectrum, you've got things like the law of diminishing returns. How much extra are you getting when you're paying obscene amounts of money for your camping equipment? So in keeping with the theme of this video, I'm going to be telling you about things I think you can do just to keep those costs down, especially if you're kitting yourself out and it's that initial outlay on expensive items such as tent, sleep mat and sleeping bag. So in terms of tents, as people are no doubt aware, you can spend absolutely obscene amounts of money, and then you can look at the opposite end of that scale. Now, some people say, you get what you pay for, but there are budget friendly tents out there as well. I've got a wide range of tents, and they do actually cater for varying different budgets. And all I'd say is if you're choosing a tent towards the budget end of the scale, that's absolutely fine, but make sure that you're using it within its sort of limits. And if you're looking at going out in ultra strong winds and, you know, stormy weather, you might not get the performance that you expect from that particular tent. I've seen a few across the internet and on YouTube where they've had failures. So just use your gear within its limits. Another thing that you could possibly do is if you've got a group of mates and there's a few of you that you're getting started into wild camping, split the cost of a tent and share it. You know, if you want to go solo, a couple of you could buy a tent and just rotate it each weekend, and you know, you all get used to that bit of equipment. However, if there's just a couple of you and you want to get yourself like a 2-person tent, well, you're obviously splitting the cost there. You can get out, share it, use it together, and be a bit more warm, especially during the colder months of the year with the two of you in it. Now, another point to mention just on kit is don't discount used sites. eBay, Facebook Marketplace, you know, if I haven't mentioned it, doesn't mean I don't think it's good. It's just thinking on the top of my head. Don't discount second-hand gear. Some of it's been really well looked after, and you're going to save yourself a lot of money there as well. So keep your eye on the second-hand sites. Sometimes you can grab some bargains, car boot sales, things like that. You can pick yourself up some brilliant pieces of outdoor equipment for really good prices. Another big outlay in terms of wild camping is usually your sleep system, in terms of a sleep mat and a sleeping bag. Again, I've got mats and bags which go across a range of budgets, and toward the bottom end of the scale of your sleeping bags, they're probably not going to be as well constructed, they're probably not going to keep you as warm, and they're probably not going to last as long. That said, if you do look after them, you might eke a few more months or years of use out of them, depending on how often you're going out and using it and in what conditions. But how are we going to overcome the fact that the more budget bags are usually colder? Well, pretty simple solution. Keep some layers on. If you've got a down jacket, go to sleep in your jacket, sleep in a couple of layers. And you can also get yourself a liner, which will improve the longevity of the bag because you're not getting it sweaty and dirty, so you're keeping it cleaner, which is always good. And secondly, they just add a few more degrees warmth to your sleeping bag, so you might even be able to get yourself into autumn, late autumn, or potentially winter, depending on whether you're sleeping a couple of layers. One of my mates, Ant, I know he won't mind me saying this, he likes to sleep in the buff. I know he definitely puts his boxies on. Well, I don't know for definite, but I think he puts his boxies on, but I like to sleep in my clothes, so yeah, I'm always a little bit more insulated anyway. But if your budget is constraining you to the lower end of the sleeping bag scale, it's not the end of the world. Again, just work with the limits of the equipment, get yourself a liner, get some layers on underneath, sleep with a hat on, especially when you're follically challenged like me. Get yourself a hat on. Again, you lose most of your heat through your head, don't you? So if you've got a hat on and you've got a lower end budget sleeping bag, if you follow some of those tips, you might just be surprised at how much use you can actually get out of it. Now, the same principles I've just spoken about regarding sleeping bags, that also applies to your sleep mats. You can pay mega money for your premium brands and your mats with the really high R value. Generally, they're smaller, lighter with high R values. They're a lot of money. You know, I should imagine they cost a lot to produce, and that's often reflected in the price. Not always the case, but generally so. Some of the lower end of your sleep mats, well, I've got one, it's a UL80 by Trekology, and I don't think it's a bad mat at all. It's nice and thick, takes a long time to blow up with your mouth, so if you get a pump for it, it's even better. However, if we're on a budget, let's use our mouth to inflate it, and we're not shelling out on extra bits of kit just to do something which you could just perform yourself. So how do we get around the fact that the budget mats are usually colder? You know, there's less R value. And I've heard some comments in relation to the UL80 saying people have had cold nights sleeping in it. Depends whether you're a cold or a warm sleeper. I've never been particularly uncomfortable in it, but what I usually do is I've got one of those cheap foam mats with the foil on one side. I will put that down first, foil pointing up, and it just stops that heat loss into the ground, through the ground, insulates you from that cold ground, especially in late autumn and winter. And you will find, you might be very surprised at just how much of a difference that makes to your mat, and you haven't got that cold icy ground underneath you. You're well protected from it. So if you think of the cost of that, I think mine was around 40 quid. I think some of the more premium brands, you might be looking at 200 quid plus. Well, 40 quid for the mat, a couple of quid for your foil mat to go underneath and insulate you from the ground. you're making a hell of a saving there. Okay, you're going to pay a bit of a weight penalty, bit of a bulk penalty because they don't pack down as small, but if we're on a budget, we're not too concerned about all those things. Likewise, rucksacks. You don't have to spend the earth for the top of the range Osprey and the top of the range other premium brands. There's a whole range of rucksacks out there which cater for all budgets, and again, generally the same principles generally apply. When I first started out in wild camping, you know, I didn't have a decent job. I was just, you know, finishing sort of, you know, my GCSEs, going into sixth form, and I had little jobs in local garden centres and sports shops and things like that. So I didn't have a lot of money at all to spend on gear. So I was buying army surplus, cheaper end of the range, and it was absolutely fine because they were the best years, got me into the hobby that I love so much today. Yes, I paid a weight penalty, but you're younger, a little bit fitter. I don't really care about that. What I just enjoyed was getting out, doing the activity. I haven't had to cost a bomb, you know, to actually go out and do it. So pretty much applies to most things in the camping, wild camping, outdoor hobby. The good thing is that there are the budget items of gear, and they're usually going to be heavier. They might not perform as well as some of the more premium brands and premium items out there, but they're still going to allow you to get out and do it, as long as you remember to go out within the limitations, as well as your personal limitations, your fitness and things like that. Stay within the limitations of the equipment, use your common sense. Don't go out in the middle of like ridiculous storms with gear that's not designed for it, because you're just going to break it or get yourself into trouble. But just remember that you don't have to have the best names to be able to get out and enjoy the great outdoors and wild camping. So the penultimate tip from me on this one is in terms of the old craft beer or the little bit of wine that people might want to take. I know lots of people don't drink, lots of people don't like to take alcohol when they're out camping, certainly wild camping. You do pay a massive weight penalty for that, but people like myself, I enjoy that. However, during current times, it's a fact that you're going to have to simply cut back on those luxuries. If you go to some of the budget supermarkets, use some absolutely cracking beers, for example in Aldi and other budget supermarkets, so you can either just cut it down, get yourself 1 or 2 little cans, or take nothing. Take yourself a flask with some water, a little sachet of coffee, and you know that will get you through. You can go out and do it rather than sitting at home thinking I can't go camping because I can't buy some beers to go camping with. You don't need that. You like to take them, it's a luxury, but it's not a necessary item. So yes, controversial to all the craft beer lovers out there, but if it's between not going and not going, if you get that, I'm certainly going to be going, but just taking water to have a nice coffee instead. Another quick point that I forgot to mention was, if you've got your own tips, use the comments section, put them down there, and yeah, share them with everyone else in the comments below this video. It can be really helpful and a really good resource for people to refer to. So if you've got your own money saving tips for enjoying the great outdoors on a budget, let us know in the comments below. I also mentioned about gas earlier on, and using or taking foods on your camps which don't require heating up and cooking. One thing not to discount is spirit stoves, those that use methylated spirits or alcohol burning stoves. They are much cheaper than gas. They're not as fast, they're not as efficient, but you know, you're not out in a rush when you're wild camping, and there's no sort of jet-like noise when you're firing up your meth stove. It's very peaceful and it's a nice way of cooking. So you know, my home bargain, just for example, I can get myself a ½ litre bottle of methylated spirits for 99p, so that's much cheaper than gas, which is hard to get hold of at the moment because everyone's going out camping as well. So get yourself a cheap spirit stove, fill it up with meth, get yourself a windshield, and yeah, it's a cheap way, albeit it takes longer, it's less efficient, of boiling up your water for your meals. So the very last thing you can do to help yourself out is to enter this competition. I'm going to be doing a giveaway. I don't like to announce it in the title of the video because I think people just jump on the bandwagon, people who haven't supported the channel, and I think it should go to someone deserving of it, who supported MCM Outdoors and I value every single one of you that has stuck with the channel since I've started it. I know the subscriber base has grown, but I'm really sort of appreciative of everyone who takes the time to watch the videos and comment, and who've joined the community over on the Facebook page as well. So if you want to win yourself a Nature Hike Cloud Up One, which is a great little tent, used it in that video there above many times, lots of room, you can sit up in it. I've got the footprint as well. If you want to win yourself that tent, all you've got to do is leave a comment below this video telling me, since MCM Outdoors started in 2015, which is your favourite video. So have a scroll back through all the videos, let me know which is your favourite video, what you like about it, what resonated with you, has it got you into wild camping. Just tell me why in your own words, what you liked about that particular video. And yes, I will read all those comments. I will pick what I believe to be the best one, and I will contact you, and I will get that tent on its way to you. I'll probably leave the competition running for about a month and a half, but again, just to recap, have a look through the back catalogue. There's a lot of videos in there. I obviously know them all, but let me know which one you like the best and why, and write a little something about it, and I'll go through all the comments and pick what I believe to be the most deserving of the Nature Hike Cloud Up One. I'll get in touch with you and we'll get that tent off to you. So yes, so hopefully you found this short video useful, and if you've got any value from it, if you've taken anything from the tips that I've just thought of, all the better for it. It's all about just getting through at the moment, so it's really important that we look after each other, we look out for each other, and it's just about getting through this tough phase, which I have no doubt we all will. We're all resilient. Get in the outdoors, that always helps. And yeah, just look out for your mates, help each other out where you can, and share tips just to get through these tough times. If you have enjoyed it, give it a quick thumbs up. It costs absolutely nothing, and it's really important to me. It helps me out, so that would be great if you could do that. Good luck if you're entering the competition. Cracking little tent, and hopefully you'll get some good use out of it. Go and enjoy the great outdoors yourself, even if it's not going to the mountains or a million miles away. Just get out in your local area, be that a city, or if you live in sort of semi-rural or rural areas, just get out and enjoy it. And you always feel better when you've got back in after a nice walk, especially on an evening like this. I always mention on every video, let's get our younger generation up and out there, enjoying what we love and learning to respect our great outdoors too. It's a fantastic thing for them. I know screens are so common nowadays, but it's great, and they really enjoy it when they actually get up and off them and into the great outdoors too. Good luck on the giveaway. Look after each other. I'll see you on the next video, and take care.